The Feminine Pulse Show is a safe and nourishing space
for women who desire to explore their power
and dance with their divine masculine and feminine energies.
We invite you on a journey to embody your feminine,
manifest deeper connections,
and be a catalyst for a harmonious, loving world.
Welcome to the Feminine Pulse Show.
Yeah, every time I think I'm really good at setting clear boundaries, especially that I just took like 2 different workshops back to back on boundaries, when it comes to the moment that you know that the boundaries have been crossed, it's like you lose everything you've learned. And then you're like, okay, I'm just going to ride this wave and it's going to get better. And it's an awful feeling afterwards because you're like, I didn't honor how I was feeling in the moment. In that moment, I was feeling super uncomfortable with this person very close to me, making me feel very like uneasy in my own place, in my own home. And I just couldn't say, you know what, I am sorry, this is not working, like you have to go. And the logical thing that I had in my mind at that moment was, I brought this person in. I didn't know all the elements of this relationship. And now I don't feel comfortable in my own home. I just need to ride the wave. I didn't want to hurt their feelings, right?
Well, what I actually think is more truth is every time you take more training or you get more conscious about setting boundaries, you're going to be tested.
Yeah.
So you were tested and you got to see where you're at right now. And it's just an opportunity to say, what would I do differently? And then you'll get tested again at some point. And so it's not necessarily about saying no to people right off the bat. If you have a good feeling about it, it's about, if it doesn't turn out to be what your good feeling was, it's about, oh, here's a great opportunity to test my boundary setting skills and honoring myself skills, right? So I think it's exciting, actually, that you had that opportunity to see this and I'm not happy that you were mistreated. Of course, I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy you get to reflect on it and see what you do differently should another opportunity come along like this, because there's so much richness here. So tell me about the boundary setting process for you now.
Well, what's interesting for me with this experience is it tested even my culture. Like, I am from Morocco. So we have this Moroccan culture where we are very welcoming, and the people that our guests, our king and queens, like we take care of them. We make sure the food is ready. We make sure like everything is beautiful for them. We go the extra mile for them, right? And so this person was coming to my home for 2-3 days, not knowing this person prior for too long. We just did the training together, and I thought we will hit it off and we'll have a great time together as friends. And definitely that was not the case. And so for me, with all the training that I got, I was like, yeah, if this was like a work situation, if this was like an outside situation, I have my script. I know exactly what to say. I know my boundaries. I will be able to speak it. But because this person was in my home and I had this job or this duty, it was more a duty that I needed to make sure that this person is okay and she is having a great time. I had to completely put back all my boundaries, what I've learned, because I had to act from this duty place of my culture. So this experience really showed me, it's like, wow, like there's so many layers that comes in when it's about boundaries, and the context really matters. And then after that, at the end of the day, and you know me, I'm all about harmony. It's like, how can you create harmony of all of different elements, like your culture element, your personality, your relationship with this person, your own home, and your boundaries in terms of your psychological safety and how you feel with whoever is in your home, right?
Right. So I want to bring in a challenge here for you. You actually didn't create harmony. You actually were in violation of your own values.
Oh, definitely. Oh, 100%.
You weren't able to be in harmony, right? So that's the place, that's your access point for your your next time, your next opportunity. It's like, oh, well, I stand for harmony. My values. This is the, like when all the circles where they meet in the middle, it's harmony. So your personal boundary setting, integrity, value set, your Moroccan cultural values set,
Yeah.
all your training values set, right? All of that in the middle is harmony. So you can't just pull from one anymore. You can't let one rule. And in order to, yes, you totally get the opportunity to mesh them and say, okay, I welcome this person in with my most gracious cultural experiences and talents and gifts and, my culture. And guess what? They overstepped a boundary that they violated the harmony that I was trying to create here. So now I get to use something from my other set of skills that says, you are welcome in my house as long as blank, or it feels like it's no longer a harmonious situation here. I would like you to leave so we can get back to that, like it's not good for you. It's not good for me. So if it's not good for me, it definitely isn't good for you. I don't want to have this angst while I'm in my house, and I don't want you to be at the effect of that. There's so many gracious ways to say it. If you have that little Venn diagram thinking versus letting the one overtake, but it's only natural that happened because that's the muscle you've exercised so well in your life, that having these other conversations only come up when you have these opportunities come up where your boundaries are being tested. So yay you.
Yay me and the experience.
Yay you for recognizing this was not a comfortable situation. This is not acceptable, and it will be different in the future, right?
Yeah. And what was interesting is I knew that it was off like within 4 hours that I saw this person, but then the duty take over, and that's what made it. And it's so interesting because I see this with a lot of my clients too, and a lot of people that I talk to, that most of them don't have boundaries at all, and they will prefer to be in a victim mode and like take like whatever the person stands their way, versus like having a courageous stand to speak up and set clearly like their boundaries, right? Because there's this fear of rejection, there's fear of judgment, and all of these different elements that really comes in. But yeah, I love like how you said it in terms of harmony, and that's why like I love like having this type of conversation, because even if I could know everything logically and everything, I need someone to mirror it back to me in order for me to see it, right? And that's what we do ourselves with our clients when we coach them and things like that. Yeah. But us, even if we know most of this concept, we still come in our personal life when we have this situation that happens, and everything that we know it logically. We just don't know after that how to act because we just could not see the pattern. So I thank you for sending that to me. But yeah, for me, it's definitely harmony is my main thing. And now everything that I do in my life needs to come from this place. So like when one element pulls more than the other, like all our different preconditioning, our trauma, our relationship, our past experiences, our culture, our religion, our family, what people say, what people expect us to be, like really putting ourselves in the center and be like, who am I? What are my values? And how do I want to show up for myself first so I can be a great example for others, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a fierce like stand, right?
Yeah. And then even if you noticed in 4 hours, that is the perfect time to say, harmony ain't happening here. There's something I'm going to need to do about that. You don't have to do it right in that moment, but it's close to that time that you recognize you have to start thinking in that new way, in that, how can I bring harmony back here? And you have lots of options. Talk to that person and make a request. Leave yourself, and come back. Ask that person to leave. I mean, and the list goes on and on. Those are 3 simple things.
Yeah.
And when the sooner you say something, the more they know they can't get away with that. And the less it accelerates, it increases. There's a word that I'm thinking of, but it's not coming.
Expedites.
It mushrooms, right? If you catch the mushroom when it's small and you say, oh, wow, I'm really committed to harmony here. That wasn't really harmonious for me. I need you to blah, 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 or I want to request this, or I need this. I need this for is that acceptable to you? If not, let's just cut our losses now, or if not, do you have something else you'd like to propose? And then you can check in. Is that okay? No, I can see that going awry too. So, the mushroom can't go, you don't let that mushroom expand. And that is the process of really creating harmony. Instead of setting boundaries, why don't we go like, that's the negative. Let's put the part, we're creating harmony here. And that's my whole focus. And if that's being challenged or that boundary is being exploited, then, you're mama bear to your harmony setting, because that's your background, that's your past, that's your future, right? That's the best of everything.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing. Like when you look at boundaries, is they stem from your values.
Yes, absolutely.
And so for everyone that is listening right now, it's like it all starts with you and knowing who you are and knowing your values and knowing what you stand for yourself or for others, right? Because if you don't have that, you don't have a foundation to have clear boundaries, and from those clear boundaries you can identify, like, from your values you need to identify the boundaries for you to be okay. Because there's this element of like, there are these preferences that I can accept in my life. These are the boundaries. And most of the time, the boundaries is to honor yourself. Like if you don't honor your own boundaries, nobody can honor boundaries for yourself. So for this particular experience, I didn't honor my value of harmony in my own home, which is like really key for me, right? Because Anna was letting this person just walk through it like all over me, like for 2-3 days, because of what I thought was like my duty, right? Which that was not the case, right? And then after that, you have like, this is like my bound, like this is like a no, like this will never happen, right? And so it's like when people identify this 3 level, like these are my preferences, these are my boundaries, and this is like my no-go, like if this happens, I'm out of here. Like it really can help people like really navigate relationships, right? And which I think is really key, because we know this, like we've lived it. We've seen like so many people all around us, like that lack boundaries completely, like have no idea how they can set boundaries for themselves. But it starts with you and knowing your values and what is your intrinsic values. Because even when we define our values, like people can have 5, 6, 10 values, whatever we want. I always go to like, what is that number one top value for you? And for me, it's harmony, right?
That's wonderful to know. And it's not going to be harmony for everyone, but it can be something.
Definitely not.
But it's something to what you're saying is to know how to navigate the world. It's your compass, right?
Yes.
Harmony is your compass. You in fact, you are setting boundaries by default if you focus on harmony. Is my whole premise, because the minute if you say, oh, I didn't set a boundary, you're beating yourself up. But if you say, I need to find a way to create harmony in this moment, you put your brain into action. Like, I've got to create harmony, not just for others, but for myself. And this duty here is for everyone, because the truth is, if you're not in harmony, it's not really harmonious for everyone else. It can't possibly be. So if it's good for you, it's good for all concerned, is the bottom line here. And that is a muscle that exercise. And you can't beat yourself up for not setting a boundary, because it's not a muscle. It's like telling a baby who's been crawling for 5 days, walk.
Yeah, totally.
Hello, walk.
You need to try it over and over again.
I don't think so. It ain't going to happen. But the beautiful thing here is, you know yourself and you know how to get back to harmony. And now you can take those skills, those preferences, those words, and start forming sentences, forming decisions, and making conscious choices slowly. And so, yay, you, right? Because this is like, I'm clear this was not a harmonious situation. ding, ding, ding. I was clear at about 4 hours in, ding, 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 yay. And, you know, I had somebody on my team on top of that. Your mom, right, was there on, so you had support. And now you have the opportunity to do something different next time, you know, that might bring more harmony sooner. And so I love that you're exploring setting boundaries and seeing where your values come into play and your past came into play. And how could you, like, I feel like we have to play little tricks with ourselves to get ourselves to behave differently. And tricks, I mean, like little hacks on, okay, well, if I have this sense of duty that kicks in, I need to couple that with something. Let's not say that was bad. Let's say, okay, I got to couple that with duty for all. I have a duty myself and my guests. And the duty is to create harmony overall. And I'm not doing that. In this moment, I'm not doing that. And you put it all on yourself. You take responsibility for it. And then you can set a boundary that way by like saying, this is my responsibility to create harmony for all. And it's not harmonious here in this moment. So I need this. And it's like, whoa.
Because I think it's so important, and it's a real live example that just happened. And even if I know how to set clear boundaries and I know my values and everything, like life happens and then other things kicks in, and that's when the self-awareness comes in and you're like, oh wait, like I was doing it from this place and I was okay to be in a victim mode and the martyr for like 2-3 days. And now then after that was like the question, why did I choose to stay in a victim martyr mode instead of being in an empowered position, and being happy and enjoy my holidays, right? And so it's those little questions like, oh, so where did this stems from? Where this coming from? So this is what those little inquiries comes in, and you start like to explore this. It's like, why did I choose to do this? Like, what was for the greater good? Maybe that's what I thought in the moment to create harmony in the house. I'm not going to say anything, right? But was that really true to myself and what I want? And so it's just so beautiful when we have the different elements that we can explore. And then when we are in the moment, we are self-reflecting as well. We're not just like sitting in it passively, but we're actively experiencing it. We're staying present in the moment and feeling how our body's feeling, what is the situation, and exploring that. And I like what you said, it's like, yeah, you should not take it all on you. Like, it's not my fault. I definitely took responsibility for it. And as you know me, when I take responsibility, I took full on responsibility to a point. Sometimes I can be really harsh on myself. And that's not the place where we want to be either. This is just the place to be like, oh, these are the little awareness we just got. This just strengthened my value system. This just strengthened my boundaries versus my non-negotiable. That's the word I was looking for earlier, right? And this is how I will choose to show up for myself and for others in the future, right? So
I love this.
yeah, just this beautiful little self-awareness. That's life.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, and when we get confronted with a situation where somebody has stepped over a boundary in a very subtle way, in it could, or not so subtle, but in a way that's shocking to our system, we go into deer in headlight mode, you know, and we retreat into an automatic way of being. So, you know, and these people who step over boundaries are very skillful. They pick their prey. You know, they know who are bait for this kind of stuff, and they will do it. It's not personal to you. So
Yeah,
it's just an opportunity to like, no, you know, no. And so the minute you see this type of behavior, here's a new awareness or an opportunity is like, okay, we can't let this perpetuate in our society. We have a commitment to the greater good of society, that these kinds of people need to know they don't have access to running all over people and free reign and hurting people and causing these. And the only way to do that is to be that mirror for them and say, no, no, this doesn't work. This does not create harmony here. You know, in harmony in my house only, please. And then it kind of entrains them. So it's a higher purpose, that setting boundaries and knowing your value. And first and foremost about value, I'm so glad you brought up the intrinsic value. Because you exist, you're a miracle. Because you exist, you're magnificent. And because you exist, you deserve to be treated well. And not even deserve, you being treated well is your birthright. It's a human right. Right.
Yeah,
So, being in this conversation and being willing to look at how to be even better with staying true to one's values and letting other people know that trampling over values is not acceptable is helping our society heal and offering these people a mirror to themselves, which most of them will never take. But the more people that say, no, this is unacceptable, it could be in a nice way, and they just don't get their way. That's the most frustrating thing for them.
Yeah, totally.
So we can be perfectly feminine and graceful with this, but and there's fierce in that way of setting that boundary. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Sorry, with a smile, right? I learned that in the South. I can to say anything with a smile on your face, and then you set your boundary, and it's just one more notch that doesn't let them. It keeps them in check, at least
Yeah,
temporarily.
totally. And then the elements I wanted just to point out, because I just heard it so much lately, like when we invite women to be in their feminine, like it's not like let people walk over you and just be super soft and super nice. You can be like fierce, and you can like show anger if you want to, like a healthy expression of anger that still stems from the feminine, because the feminine is very fierce, and we're gonna fight to the death like to protect our family and everyone, right? And so it's not just sitting here and just smiling and just sitting in this place of victim, because when you are in this place of victim, you are in your wounded feminine. And this is not where we want where you'll be. We want you to be in your healthy, sacred feminine, where you are empowered and you are intuitive and you are able to speak up and share your voice and really like stand for your values and who you are, right? And so it's key. And like and I think that's what we all want to be. Like we really want so many people to realize and recognize these different elements, so that way they can lead by example. Because the only way we can help others is by leading by example. Because people will, you can talk until tomorrow, but people will see how you act and what you do. And so if you lead by example, you will inspire a lot of people to do the same, right? So that's why we need to take every experience that happened, right? I could have hidden this conversation and just like stayed with my son, keep it for myself, but then I won't learn from it. I won't grow from it. And then with this conversation with you, Laura, it's like, okay, what can I do better? What is the insight that I just got right now that I will be able to use in the future? So that way I can lead by example, right? For myself, for my family.
Exactly. I'm feeling so inspired to do something that's like an exercise, and to offer it out to you and to everyone, is to draw and put on the center of the page your value, that highest value you have, like harmony. And for me, the drawing in my mind is feeling like a tree, and the tree has branches. And so how does harmony extend out into the world? It's going to extend into different, and I might do different colors, or it might say family, friends, networking, training program, new experiences, and just draw. So draw or color or just abstract. It doesn't even have to be a tree or whatever, but put your value there. And how does that ground yourself in it? And how does that express into the world? And it could just be in color. You may not have words. And that's why I'm saying use some crayons or markers or paints or whatever, and just feel it expanding into the world, as if your boundary is getting stronger, and you're able to connect with it, so that you can have those really good responses when your boundary is tested. And they come from your value versus your anger or your fear, because your value will protect you. It will, like you say, empower you and strengthen you and embolden you to be that role model of harmony, right? Or of whatever your highest value is. Mine is intimacy and leadership. And so how can I, be that in the world more? You can either journal on that if you're more of a, thinker, journaler, or if you don't have words yet, use shapes and images and color, and put something down to just, if you have any challenge with setting a boundary and you're concerned that you might be a deer in headlights at the next time, let's do some pre-strengthening of the muscle. What does harmony sound like and feel like in everyday life for oneself? And you can do a little meditation on that too. So, but the first thing that came to my mind is drawing it out with color and shape. And it doesn't have to be a beautiful tree or anything, but that's what came to my mind.
And that's a beautiful thing, because it's something that you need to feel, not something you need to think. And so I think the exercise that you just offered to everyone here, it's a good one. And if people are stuck about values, I don't know what my values are, just do a search on Google. Like there are like over 100 words that describe different values, and go through them and see which ones really connect to you, and write your list. And then after that, like shrink it down to your main one that you think is the one that really guide your life. And when it's there, and I loved your exercise, because one of the elements, like I can definitely, for me and for you, it's intimacy, which I love. Like then you will be like for yourself, like, how do I feel when I am in full harmony? Like, how does my body feel? What are the feelings that I'm feeling in the moment? Like how my environment looks like when I am in harmony, and how does it feel like when I am in this harmony, and how my body is acting? Because the moment then, those will become your signal. Oh, my heart is tightened right now. Oh, so there is a boundary here that just got crossed. And sometimes your logical mind doesn't even see it, right? But your body and our body intelligence, like completely like feel it right away from the get-go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, yeah, okay, so how can I get into like the feminine side and like really connect to the different signs that my body is giving me when I am out of my value, I'm completely imbalanced, and list those, because those will become your little triggers after to be like, well, oh, I'm definitely not in my value right now. Something is off. What is it? And like you said, sometimes it's very, very subtle and you don't realize it. But it's the compound of it that at the end, like people, that's why people sometimes realize that their boundary has been crossed years later or months later, and they don't even know why.
Right.
And when we talk about boundary, it's really about, it's imagine yourself and imagine like you have a bubble around you, and it's about recognizing your sense of self. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then when another person shows up, it's them in their bubble with their sense of self, and you are one next to the other. But what happens if this is your bubble and this is their bubble? Like sometimes, like this is what it becomes. Like one person enters the other person's boundaries, and it became all meshed up. That people don't recognize their sense of self. Now they think I can only be when I'm here, or I can only be a martyr right now because I am in this sense of beauty, like my experience that I just had. And you just start. So then it's like, how can I come back and be in my power, stand fully in my power, fully in my boundaries, and look into the person in the eye, love them fiercely and fully and gracefully while being myself, and then being themselves. I respect myself for who I am and my boundaries, which means I respect the other person's boundaries as well. Right.
And when you are fully in your own bubble and fully in your sense of self, you are charismatic. People love that, right? That's this, you are so grounded that the minute something happens that's non-harmonious, for example, it's not normal for you anymore. And you have to get back to that sense of harmony. Like when you really become that sense of self-harmonizing, and you have all the tools to get there, that when anything happens that's not, you know how to get back there. And it could be a conversation with somebody else, a conscious choice to leave something, or a practice you have to just get back to center, to that place. But living from that is so charismatic that it kind of feeds off of itself. That boundaries are naturally there because you are so automatically always bringing yourself back to there, that you're doing whatever it takes to keep it that way. Versus the other outside trying to be this thing that you were taught to be, right? So, but the practice is, so this is the beautiful thing about this exercise, is it's one way to start really grokking in who you are and bringing that to your forefront. It's who you are deep down. and now it's like to say, unpeel the layers that have been hiding it and say, no, this is my strength. This is my source. This is the place from which I know that life works and will continue to work for me and for everyone around me. And so
Totally.
I love this practice because, like you said, it's that feeling essence. And then you can do your decision making and speaking from that place, and you'll be unstoppable. I mean, boundary setting is going to be like, I don't even think about it now. I automatically do it.
Like you said, and that's the beauty of it. The universe will always send you more experiences and more challenges. So you will strengthen something so you can get better and better, right? And so if that's what you're looking for and that's what you want, is you want continuous personal growth, so that way you can be a better leader and lead others by example or anything like that, then yeah, bring it on. And then it's like taking all those beautiful learnings and just be like, okay, what I'm learning from this experience, because there's a gift in every bad experience. And it's a matter of just like finding it or talking about it. It's connecting with a friend and just like, let me just hash it out with you. It's about journaling, drawing, like Laura suggested. Like there's like so many different ways to just like inquire, right? It's this quest. It's this inner quest. Because we all have everything inside of us, right? And so the moment we start looking for it from the outside, that's where there's a disconnection. And so that's why like starting with your values is great. And I want to like finish to just let the listeners know, like, if you have identified a value, you can change it later. Like nothing is set in stone. Like my value of harmony took me years to find it and to say, this is it, right? And so don't push yourself and be like, I have to know my value right now. What should I put in the middle? Like in this exercise that Laura said, just put whatever one feels right in this moment. And it's a fluid exercise and experience.
And if
right?
more than one comes, great. It will evolve and just find whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong here is what I'm hearing you saying. It's just start with a feeling that really supports who you are. And a great place to look is if you're feeling like a victim, what is it that's underneath that really wants what you really want to feel? What do you want to feel? It might be powerful. It might be loved. It might be something else, and start with those words: power, love. There you go, and you're off and running.
Totally.
And there's no right or wrong. It can evolve, is like you say. So this is a Feminine Pulse, and we can continue the conversation on our community on Facebook with our values. Share your values over there and share how you are simmering in them and letting them bubble up.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. I hope you got a lot of little nuggets from this very enriching conversation about boundaries. Until the next episode.
Bye for now.
Thank you for being part of our community.
Listen to the next episode of Feminine Pulse on your favorite podcast app.
We welcome your questions and have some amazing gifts for you
at femininepulse.com.